Have you ever been underestimated, yet felt you were born for something greater? If that question echoes within you, then this video is for you. Before diving into this journey with Yoshitsune, like this video and subscribe to the Samurai Wisdom, the voice of Yoshitsune channel. Here, every lesson is a sharpened blade for your mind. You might be living a moment where the world looks at you and only sees what's on the surface. Perhaps they see you as ordinary without noticing what beats within you. It was like that with Yoshitsune, son of a defeated clan. He was sent as a child to a monastery, far from battlefields, far from the name he carried. In the eyes of others, he was just a monk, a young man destined for reclusion, not glory. But within him, something burned. He knew he was not born for the silence of temple walls, but for the sound of swords and the weight of decisions. And so, in secret, he began to prepare. He studied strategies, observed the movements of martial artists, learned from dancers the lightness he would later apply in combat. He transformed every gesture into tactics, every silence into discipline. Yoshitsune did not ask permission to become who he was. He molded himself, alone, in the dark. And you? Will you wait for the world to recognize you before acting? Or will you prepare in silence, like him, until your own greatness is impossible to ignore? The truth is simple. When the world underestimates you, you have two choices: accept the label or prepare to surprise. Yoshitsune's silent discipline teaches you that recognition comes after preparation, never before. Few know, but they say he learned his first war tactics by observing artistic performances in the temple. He saw beauty where others saw distraction and turned that into an advantage. This shows you that even in the most improbable places, there is wisdom waiting to be absorbed. Now, stop and think. What are you doing with the time when no one is watching? Are you molding yourself, or just waiting? But what about when it's time to prove your worth? Are you ready to act even without guarantees? Have you ever faced a decision where no one believed in you, yet you felt you had to act? Yoshitsune knew that feeling well. During the Battle of Minamoto, he faced a stalemate. The enemy was entrenched, protected by almost impenetrable terrain. The generals hesitated, the advisors doubted, but Yoshitsune saw what no one else did, a possibility where everyone saw a limit. He gathered a small group of knights and, against all logic, descended a steep cliff with his men completely, surprising the Taira army. What seemed like strategic suicide became one of the most legendary turning points of the war. And you? Are you waiting for everyone to agree with your vision before acting? Or are you ready to trust your clarity even if you walk alone? Leading is not about having approval, it's about having purpose. Yoshitsune did not seek applause, he sought results. He knew that sometimes the courage of one can move mountains that 1,000 indecisive people would never touch. And that's what you need to remember when your vision is clear. You don't need permission to move forward. Few know, but the cliff Yoshitsune descended was considered impassable until then. Some reports say he studied the terrain for days, observing wind patterns, humidity, and even the behavior of animals in the region. He was not just daring, he was meticulous. This shows you that courage is not blind impulse, it is preparation, with purpose now. Think, how many times have you failed to act because you expected others to understand your vision? How many opportunities have you postponed for fear of appearing reckless? But what if, even after victory, you are betrayed by those you trusted most? How do you move forward when the pain comes from within your own clan? Have you ever been betrayed by someone who claimed to be on your side? You fight, you conquer, you give your all, and, in the end, the blade that wounds you comes from the hands of those you trusted most. Yoshitsune knew this pain. After leading decisive victories for the Minamoto clan, he was not celebrated. As a hero, he was declared an enemy. His own brother, Yoritomo, fearing his popularity and prestige, pursued him as a traitor. The one who should have welcomed him as an ally treated him as a threat. And you? Have you felt the weight of a betrayal that did not come from the enemy, but from within your own home, your circle, your clan? Yoshitsune could have surrendered to resentment. He could have become bitter, vengeful, or simply given up. But he chose another path. He continued his journey with dignity, even while being hunted. He understood that greatness does not depend on the recognition of others, but on the integrity with which you live your mission. He did not need Yoritomo's approval to know who he was, and neither do you. Not every victory will be applauded. Not every effort will be recognized, but that does not diminish your value. The mission continues, even when the applause ceases. Your strength is in moving forward, even when the world tries to extinguish your light. Interestingly, even being declared an enemy of the state, Yoshitsune continued to be loved by the people. To them, he was the true hero, a symbol of honor in times of ambition. His legend grew not because of the power he had, but because of the way he faced injustice with courage and nobility. Now, look within. Are you allowing betrayal to define who you are? Or are you using that pain as fuel to become even more true to your essence? But what about when all seems lost? How do you keep the flame of your mission alive? Are you willing to leave a legacy, even if it costs everything? Yoshitsune was a refugee, surrounded, betrayed by his own blood. He knew he would not leave that last fortress alive. But he also knew that his life was already greater than himself. He did not surrender. He did not beg. He did not flee his own story. His death was not just the end of a life, it was the birth of a legend. And that's why, centuries later, you still hear his name. Because Yoshitsune lived with purpose until his last breath. And you, are you living in a way that your story deserves to be remembered? Throughout this journey, you saw how Yoshitsune was underestimated, yet he prepared in silence. You learned that true leadership does not wait for consensus, it acts with clarity. You felt the weight of betrayal and understood that your mission does not depend on the approval of others. And now, facing the end, you discover that true legacy is not in what you achieve, but in what you inspire. Yoshitsune teaches us that living with truth is more powerful than living with fear. That the courage to be who you are, even when everything is against you, is what transforms an ordinary life into an eternal story. And perhaps for this reason, legends arose saying that he did not die, that he fled and became Genghis Khan. True or not, this shows the impact of a life lived with intensity, a life that refuses to be forgotten. Now, the question is, what story are you writing with your life? What marks are you leaving on the world around you? You don't need an army. You don't need a title. You just need courage. Courage to be true to what you believe. Courage to continue even when no one understands. Courage to live in a way that, one day, someone will say, "This person inspired me." If this journey with Yoshitsune touched you, subscribe to the Samurai Wisdom, the voice of Yoshitsune channel, activate the bell, and share in the comments which lesson resonated most with your life. And if this video inspired you, send it to someone who also needs to hear this today, because the world needs more people like you who choose to live with purpose, even when it costs everything. And perhaps, just perhaps, that's how legends are born.